Hi, my name is Sai Devalopalli. I'm a B2B marketing strategist and technologist, and today I'm going to talk about cloud-based data analytics for enterprises. Cloud and big data have been two of the top three buzzwords of this decade so far, mobile being the third one. So we're going to set the hype aside and look at what is cloud-based data analytics and when and where it is applicable to enterprises. Cloud-based data analytics is about offering tools for analytics and rapid analytics development in the cloud. Analytics needs to happen where the data assets are. So if you're storing a lot of data generated from the enterprise in the cloud, then it makes sense to analyze that data in the cloud. So cloud-based data analytics is best offered on top of an infrastructure as a service offering. Some examples of cloud-based data analytics are Google App Engine, Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, Pivotal Cloud Foundry, etc. Analytics stacks from vendors like HP Vertica, Cloudera, Enterprise Data Hub, SAP HANA, example, can also be offered using a cloud-based delivery model. Again, this makes sense if the enterprise is already using infrastructure as a service from the cloud provider. So the important thing to remember is if the data is not getting generated in the cloud, then it doesn't make sense to provide analytics in the cloud because, as we spoke earlier, analytics should always move to where the data is and not the other way around. Cloud vendors are offering infrastructure as a service today, basically storage, compute, and networking. Infrastructure as a service is getting commoditized and margins are getting compressed. There is still some untapped potential in helping enterprises implement a hybrid cloud model with things like unified identity management and VPN security. But cloud vendors are looking at capturing additional value and additional margins by moving up the stack. So analytics and applications offered using platform as a service and software as a service models are a vehicle to get there. There are a few things you need at a minimum to call yourself a PaaS offering. You need APIs, and you need a runtime environment in which the user's applications run. So PaaS vendors, some PaaS vendors offer more than that. Some offer IDEs for application development or analytics development. Some require analytics applications to use a certain programming model, for example, Java Spring. These additional features add value to developers. But on the flip side, some developers may feel constrained by the development environment or the programming model. I think a good strategy for a PaaS offering is to take a building blocks approach. So don't enforce programming paradigms or IDEs per se, but offer application building blocks modeled as APIs. In this model, developers are free to choose their IDEs or toolsets, but they will be able to orchestrate among building blocks to rapidly build enterprise applications. Regardless of which model a PaaS provider chooses, I think it's key for a PaaS provider to provide tools to define and execute analytics pipelines where the data goes through a series of steps. And these steps are highly dependent on the use cases that are actually being implemented. So the final outcome in an analytics pipeline is basically a set of events that trigger business processes or insights that can be visualized on demand or in real time. So the more flexible the PaaS provider makes it to define and execute an analytics pipeline, the faster I think analytics developers can build and launch analytics use cases. PaaS makes sense when the offering addresses a broad segment across verticals and across use case domains. PaaS is an unfinished product by definition. So this requires support for the developer. Things like SDKs, online software coding examples, support for multiple programming languages. A PaaS offering has a clear monetization strategy. And if the PaaS offering that has a clear monetization strategy, it needs to have an ecosystem of integration partners and SaaS ISVs or independent software vendors to provide the actual finished offerings. Integration partners normally play in specific industry verticals, and they use their vertical domain knowledge to build analytics applications in those verticals. This domain expertise is not normally available to the PaaS provider, and that's where the partnership makes sense. The PaaS vendor has to implement some kind of an onboarding process for these partners and the ISVs. The other thing I wanted to mention is the PaaS vendors often have to implement a couple of SaaS offerings, finished products, to show how it's done and work out the kinks in the PaaS offering from the perspective of the immediate customer. So in all this, I think the most important thing to remember is that the PaaS provider cannot afford to lose sight of how the end user is going to use the offering. You will see cloud-based analytics providers focus more on operational aspects that are key for production quality enterprise deployments, for mass market adaptation. So the focus will have to be on maturing the frameworks for things like security. For example, identity and access management, encryption of data columns, key management. The other important aspect of this is data governance in terms of maturity. So data governance from an analytics vendor's point of view means things like data discovery, data lineage, audit, data ownership, and so on. So you'll start seeing more flexibility and power in defining and implementing analytics pipelines. We talked earlier about how this is key for rapidly developing and deploying analytics use cases. Lastly, you'll see a lot of orchestration across multiple APIs for rapid enterprise application development. An example would be to use Force.com for CRM, use Workday for human capital management, and using NetSuite APIs for ERP, and build analytics applications that may cut across these multiple concerns and orchestrate a business process across these. So this leads us to what has come to be known as business process as a service. Business process as a service has been proposed as a mechanism for creating and maintaining dynamic cross-vendor and multi-vendor supply chains. I see this as a long-term goal for PaaS offerings. In the interim, I think the key thing would be to quickly orchestrate enterprise analytics workflows using flexible APIs. And the PaaS vendors who provide such capabilities, I think, are likely to have the upper hand. Thanks for watching.